about time. Coach Jack Daniels at the Boxers Training Center. And look, man, I've been actually trying to come on for like 2 hours. I mean, sincerely, I've been actually trying to come on for 2 hours, but I had to go from one device to another. The desktop, it wouldn't go live, right? I mean, like I have like, I'm not trying to make it seem like I got all that or I got all that, right? But to secure myself with what I love to do in the area of sports, right? This podcast, right? I have opted to invest a few pennies on like multiple devices, right? So I wouldn't be in a position that I would be eligible or able to come on when I felt the need. And today, look, man, I felt the need to come on and discuss July 5th, in the UK, a fight between Jack Catterall and Harlem Eubank, right? I actually thought he was might have been kin to Chris Eubanks Jr., I mean, that's kind of like not having his name is Harlem Eubanks. Chris Eubanks Jr. is a with an S, Eubanks, right? So I mean, that's not the case in this regard. But I did have a time with myself psychologically figuring out the distinction between Harlem Eubank and Chris Eubanks Jr. Okay, so that being the case, look, man. Again, July 5th, the UK. We have a pretty productive fight, right? And there's a huge undercard on that fight card also. But I'm not really going to get off into that because, honestly speaking, I don't really know these cats that's on that card. This is a British promotion, right? So I don't really, unless it's someone like Eddie Hearns. I think it's another cat, I can't recall his name, out of the UK that I have familiar with, right? I don't really, go off into the particulars in so far as um, each and every boxer, right, in the UK. I mean, I would love to have access to that type of profile as we do in the States, right, with most of the boxers or fighters in the States. But um, it's just not convenient to be that versatile to the point where um, you see everybody involved in the boxing. And that's another point that's well taken, right? Um, there's a lot of great dudes out there in the boxing game, a lot of great fighters, a lot of great boxers, right? But we don't really have conversation with them, right? Because we don't know they exist based on the fact, right? Unless you primarily from the States, right? You don't really have access to these great boxers, right? I mean, occasionally you might run across one in a match with somebody from the States, right? But other than that, man, look, I have taken notice to the fact it's a lot of great boxers all over the world. You know what I mean? But again, we don't really get the opportunity to have conversations with them or see them because of the way the states are promoting their particular fighters, right? And to a certain degree, I get it. But then again, I kind of leave the fan base at a disadvantage in the sense that we don't get a chance to match up, right? To see whether there's great boxers all over the world, right? Again, occasionally you'll see one based on the fact that he'll match up with somebody or a promoter that he matches up with somebody in the states. But unless that happens, man, you don't get a chance to see all the great fighters, man. You know, what I mean? It's a lot of great fighters all over the world. You know what I mean? And that's primarily what I'm interested in. You know what I mean? Great matchups. And I would think everybody in the boxing community would be on board with matching up great fights with great fights instead of just matching up the names. You know what I mean? That come to mind. You know what I'm saying? That's chunked down our throat by promotions and things of that sort. Right? We don't get a chance to like the uh, greatness. Right? I mean, quite naturally, we do have great, absolutely superb boxers in the state, right? I mean, we are in an abundance of great boxers in the United States, right? But let's not be fooled by the fact that because we don't have the um, the promotions, right, that choose to just go after the great fighter, contrary to the fact that whether they're in the States or wherever they may be at, we don't get that option. And again, I, as a boxing um, promoter, a promoter or a boxing pundit, excuse me, I think I'm off course because that's what my mindset is really at, right? To somehow figure out a way. I mean, quite naturally, I'm relatively old, so I'm gonna have to do this in short or form, right? To be in a position where I can get some good boxes up under my belt and promote them correctly. In my opinion, I say correctly because a lot of times, like a lot of these promotional companies, I just totally don't agree with, right? I mean, um, if they're not being really cheesy with their uh, pay scales, how they pay their fighters, right? It's just one thing after another when it comes to these promoters that we um, have had thrusted down our throats because there isn't that many um, boxing promoters, right? I mean, I'm quite sure there's a lot of boxing promoters, but we don't get a chance to have conversation or talk to them because the way the boxing game is set up, especially when it comes to promotion, boxing promoters, right? Right. I actually heard Oscar De La Hoya say it's only three promoters in the world. Him, uh, Eddie Hearns, and Bob Arum, right? That's totally not true. You know what I mean? But contrary to the fact that a lot of stuff that these dudes be saying, it ain't true. Basically, a lot of these cats say things that solely and in the best interest of what they need or what's in the best interest of their promotional company, right? And you know what I mean? I mean, but when you get off into analyzing that um, piece of information, right? You have to also get into how this country is set up, right, to be a capitalist country, right? So, I mean, contrary to the fact that there's way more than three promoters in the world, right? The fact of the matter is, if those three alleged three promoters lead you to believe that's all it is, hey, who's to say? Who's to say I'm lying? Or who's to say he's lying? Right? Because that's what this country is built on. A gang of lies. I know you don't want to hear that, but that is a fact. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, right, either you're going to be a crash dummy and believe that that's not a fact, but this country is built on lies. Hey, come on, man. This country has been built on lies for over 400 years, right? And that's just a cliche, the 400 years, right? Because I naturally, normally, a person with intellect will use the premise of 400 years to suggest that that's when I'm gonna say that's when um, the African American was um, released from bondage over 400 years ago. So primarily, when you use the cliche 400 years ago, we basically talking about um, bondage when black people was in bondage. But that cliche is multi-purpose when it comes to uh, uh, discussing, you know what I'm saying, this country and the lies this country is built on. You know what I mean? Nothing personal. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, if you don't know, you need to know. Okay? So anyway, let's get to some boxing, man. Jack Catterall versus Harlem Eubank. Catterall is 32. He's 5'7" with a 69-inch arm. He's a left-handed. And I need to remind you of this. Keep it close nose to the stats, but these cats are closely associated with their physiques, right? Their physiques, right? And Catterall is 30 wins, 13 by knockout, 2 losses. Never been stopped, no draws. Ranked number 3 by Ring Magazine, and number 5 by the WBC. Now, Harlem Eubank is also 32 years of age. He's 5'8", inch taller than Catterall. He has a 68.5 1 inch arm reach. Um, that's like maybe an inch. His arm reach is an inch shorter than Catterall. He's the right hand, the opposite of uh, of of Catterall, which is the left hand. He has 21 wins, 9 by knockout, no losses, never been stopped, no draw. He is ranked number 14 by the uh, IBF and 15 by the IBF, 14 by the IBO, right? So here's the deal. This fight could be a really, really great fight because Jack Catterall's butt is on the line. You know, what I mean? His career is on the line, literally speaking, right? Now, he could, come back and make some money, but as far as being in a position where he can call shots with his career and basically have his promoter drag in the ring who he wants to drag. Now, them days is over if he loses this fight, right? I mean, 2 losses, you know what I mean? When you get off in the 2s and 3s, you know what I mean? You get you're actually psychologically you take hits also, right? Because you start thinking to yourself. I mean, I was in a game, and I know how the psychological impact affects a person when you start taking losses, right? Contrary to the fact, right, that I'm only associating this with um, being in the ring with dudes and getting popped and right having to psychologically um, think about or dwell on. Damn, how did I let him do that? Right? I'm saying that to say because I've never been defeated. You know what I'm saying? I ain't never been defeated. But I can understand the psychology associated with a person that takes a loss, right? It's a lot of stuff that goes into taking the losses, man. You know what I mean? It's a lot of psychological weight. Each loss, each loss, you have to understand that that baggage goes with that loss, right? So if you're taking a loss, you're taking 2 losses, right? The third loss, oh, come on, man, you're in a psychological point where, man, I mean, and he's 30, Catterall is 33 years of age, right? You know what I mean? With 2 losses, right? You kind of like feel like you're on a decline, right? Instead of excelling in your career. You know what I mean? And I say that again because I was in the sport. You know what I'm saying? I actually boxed. You know, and so a lot of cats be saying, "Well, who have you trained?" Look, man, common sense analogy would suggest to anybody with a tidbit of intellect, common sense analogy would suggest if you've been in the ring, right, and you were successful in the ring, right, why would you be able to take that information, you know what I'm saying, that you use to be undefeated, right, outside the ring to train? Why wouldn't you be in a position to do that? I mean, because a lot of people say, "Man, who have you trained?" Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, that's like to me. I mean, it's kind of silly if you can't make the leap from dude was a darn good boxer, right, to now he is a trainer, right? You can't make that leap. I don't know if I want to have a conversation with you. You know what I'm saying? But that's just me and how I think, right? I don't know. Some people say I might be genius, but you don't. It doesn't. It doesn't take a genius to make that type of leap, man. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, I'm really looking forward to this fight. You know what I'm saying? Because I think that Jack Catterall, contrary to the fact that Eubank is undefeated, Jack Catterall got to try to save his career, man. You know what I'm saying? So you can anticipate this fight is going to be a fight that those that really like boxing, those that really love boxing want to see. Jack Catterall versus Harlem Eubank, right? And we just got to wait and see. Saturday night, the UK. That being said, I would appreciate it very much so if y'all would hit that subscription button, hit the like button. It don't cost a penny. Hit the subscription button, hit the like button, drop a comment in the comments, and let me have your opinion on who y'all think is going to win between Jack Catterall and Harlem Eubanks. And these cats are junior lightweights, right? You know what I'm saying? Uh, uh, um, no, junior lightweights would be the functional equivalent of light, no, junior welterweights. Actually, yeah. So that being said, man, look, catch me on the next one. I am gone.